put a jacket on today, so I'm not shivering. It's always cold in here. Welcome, as usual. Thanks for coming. Heading into Week 12. The season's gone by extremely fast. It's amazing. It's already coming to an end, but going to go on the road and play Maryland. Excited about our opportunity to go do that. Great respect for DJ Durkin. I've known him for a long time, and his D coordinator Andy Boo is one of my best friends in the profession. Got a lot of respect for those individuals and the job they're doing at Maryland. This game, it's the last game for this group of individuals to be together, and we're going to cherish every day and the moment we get to go out and prepare and go play one last game together. Every year is a different year. Every team's a different team, and we just want to make sure that this group of individuals enjoys, what they do and who they do it with, and go out and prepare for one last game here together. Taking a look at Maryland, just starting with their offense, their spread offense. Very impressed by their skill players. Their wide receivers and running backs have good speed. DJ Moore has been an explosive player for them on the outside all year long, but they have tremendous speed. Quarterbacks, both of them can run. They've played several quarterbacks for different reasons throughout the course of the year, but they got some guys that can run, and the quarterback run game obviously is a big part of what they do on offense. Defensively, the 3-4 defense, but they're multiple with their fronts, pressure defense, and that's something that we have to be able to protect and go against and be more effective than what we have been in the past against teams that like to move and pressure with their defensive front seven. But with that being said, I'll go ahead and just open it up for questions.
Do you get a sense that this could be a rivalry going forward between Rutgers and Maryland?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it makes sense. There's a lot of rivalry games that the Big Ten has tried to create here in the last week of the season, and this would be a natural one, and would love to make that happen.
Chris, with this being the last game, like you mentioned, do you do anything different game plan-wise to get different players involved or seniors that haven't played, or how do you approach it from that standpoint?
No. I mean, our game plan will the way we prepare for games is not going to change. And, if you get into a game and it's lopsided one way or the other and you can get some people in the game because they've deserved that opportunity, then by all means we'll do that. But we're not going to make different plans throughout the week in our game planning that calls for this guy or that guy, unless they are naturally going to be playing and play a role or a factor in our ability to go out and play our best game.
Coach, looking ahead after this week, do you have the recruiting itinerary mapped out, what you guys are going to do, and how does that transition go right from the season into recruiting?
Yeah, we talk about recruiting all the time. I mean, every day we talk about recruiting, and our December plans for when the season is over is laid out. It's mapped out. Our January plans for the most part, not on a day-to-day basis, but what we're going to be doing is all laid out. And once the game is over, we'll be on the road on Sunday right away. That is the first day of the contact period.
Chris, you mentioned knowing DJ for a long time. I guess kind of ironically, you guys were on this opposite sidelines last year at the same time in that Ohio State-Michigan game. I guess just kind of now that you guys are head coaches and whatnot, what do you remember about that? And obviously, will you kind of match up? You've had similar trajectories, I guess, and both came up under Urban Meyer. Do you ever look at that as like a comparison point?
No, I don't. I mean, I've known DJ just personally from years ago when he was at Stanford and I was at San Diego State, and got to know him through an interview process that we talked about weeks ago. But that's it. I mean, other than I've known where he's known where I've been, and whenever we see each other, we talk. That's about it. But comparisons, I'm not looking at anything. He's got a job to do. We got a job to do here, and there's no comparisons or anything to that nature.
Chris, with Darius and JPO, obviously two guys that fans kind of been fan favorites here, and guys that fans will be interested to see what happens with them after the season as far as how their careers develop and chances in the NFL. What do you think makes those two guys attractive to NFL scouts, or if scouts were to solicit your opinion on them on the field, off the field, intangibles, play as defensive linemen, what kinds of things would you say about them?
Just the word that you mentioned were the intangibles, the character that both of those young men have. everybody in the organization can trust him. They do the right thing. They want to be the best that they can be. They work extremely hard. The other word is leadership. They provide tremendous amounts of leadership for not only their unit side of the ball, but for the football team. And can't say enough good things about either one of those. I mean, scouts will watch film and make their own evaluation of their physical talent, but the intangibles that each one of those individuals has, I couldn't say enough good things about them.
Chris, obviously, hindsight's kind of 20/20, but are you glad you played Tylen Oden this year? Do you feel like he got something out of it? Obviously, you could have redshirted him. Do you feel like he progressed to the point where you wanted him to?
I can't sit here and say he's progressed to the point that we would have wanted him to. Will he benefit from the reps that he got this year? Absolutely. I think we're playing 7 or 8 true freshmen in various positions throughout the football team, and every one of those guys will benefit from it. I do talk to the team a lot about this. You know, I look at Isaiah Wharton and Blesson Austin, 2 guys that played last year. Wasn't very pretty football from what I understand last year. Both of those both of those guys would admit that. But you look at the player development that and the progress they made from last year to this year, and it was because of what they learned last year playing probably before they were ready. They're much better football players this year because of it. And I think there are several players on the football team that this may have been their first year playing, whether they're true freshmen or sophomores, whatever the situation may be, that through physical development, mental development, maturity, that if most of our players can make the same type of improvements those 2 players have, then I think we'll have an improved football team.
I know injuries are always a dicey thing to talk about, but Robert Martin, how has he been limited the last couple of weeks? Has he just been not as good as Justin Goodwin? I mean, what's the deal with Robert Martin?
A few weeks ago, Robert Martin was banged up. Robert is healthy, and last week he had a complete week of practice. And Goodwin has earned the right to be the starting running back and given opportunities to go out and get carries in games. Rob has too, but right now, Goody, over the course of the middle of the season, he has taken advantage of the opportunity that has been given to him, both in practice and in games, and has earned the right to go out and be our starting tailback. It doesn't mean Rob has done anything wrong. It's just that's what happens when you go through injuries. You got to earn your way back, and Rob is trying to do that right now. But it's more about not about what Rob hasn't done or injuries. It's about what Justin has done to seize the opportunity.
Are you doing anything for the seniors? I mean, there was a carry-off for the past coaching regimes. Do you do anything to kind of honor them during the week?
Yeah, there's a couple. It's a big week. I mean, you talk about 2 opportunities to honor your seniors. The last home game, which we had this last week, and then senior week, as we go through the week, we'll do some special things for the seniors. The Friday night hotel meal at the hotel will be a special, tribute for the seniors. We'll do some things after the last practice on Thursday that may be similar or slightly different. I'm not sure exactly what's happened in the past. I haven't heard about the carry-off, but there's some things that will, be similar and slightly different for the seniors. But it's a big week, and you want to make sure that they get the respect that they've earned and get the proper tribute that they deserve to end their career here. And we'll do some things throughout the week.
All right. How about that, huh? You mentioned with the quarterbacks with Gio. Is it just right now like in a situation of him having to adjust to people adjusting to him now that they've seen him film? The comparison I drew the other day was like a baseball player who hits fastballs and has to learn how to hit the curveball. Is that kind of what we're seeing these last 2 games after his good first 2 games?
No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, what you saw in Gio against Illinois was a guy that went out and really had nothing to lose. He went out and played carefree. Went into his first start against Minnesota and thought he played an outstanding game. Wasn't perfect. Had a couple turnovers, but I thought he played a pretty productive football game. And then he got hurt. And since he had hurt his hamstring and then against Michigan State hurt his knee, he just hasn't been at full speed. He thought that he had communicated that he was full speed this last week, which I think he was, once he got to game time. Obviously conditions were pretty bad, Saturday. But, Gio is just a work in progress. There's a lot of things that he has to continue to work on. You just look at him throughout the course of the season. He hasn't had a lot of reps in practice until he took over as the starting quarterback. That's just the way it is. Your starter gets most of the reps with the offense. Had not had many reps, obviously, in games, and he's continuing to improve, try to improve in a lot of areas. And since the Minnesota game, he's had one thing or another that's kind of set him back a little bit, whether it be the knee, the hamstring, and then the weather. And the opponent has a lot to do with it. When you're playing good teams, things don't look quite as good. And that's just a part of it. But I love everything that Gio brings still the offense with his energy and enthusiasm, work ethic, his leadership. And we just got to keep trying to improve on a lot of areas. And that's the other part of it. Like we talked Saturday after the game, everyone wants to point to the quarterback, but there's certain things that you want to be able to do. But if it's not getting blocked right, up front, or on the outside, things don't look quite as good. When you look at the Minnesota game, that was probably the best game our offensive line had played. And as a result, what happened? The quarterback threw better because he was protected, and some of the quarterback runs looked better because they were blocked cleaner. And, when you look at run game and pass game, there are a lot of things that have to work together. The O-line has to block. You have to block on the perimeter. You have to make the right reads at the quarterback position. Unless all of those things are working together, it doesn't look as pretty, and it has nothing to do with right now, today, Gio being healthy or not healthy. Good? Go ahead. Senior week, I'll give you a chance.
Well, this isn't a senior.
Yeah, but I know, but you're a senior, so I'll let you.
Just because you mentioned Austin and Morton, thinking into the future, Hester, Hampton, Morton, and Austin are all sophomores. What can that do for your secondary that feasibly they could be 3 or 4 year starters all together, that same group? I know other kids could come in, but what could that do down the road?
Oh, it's huge. We talk about that all the time, and I think I mentioned this after the Indiana game. It's not just in the secondary, but there were times in that game when Chaffee wasn't playing in that game very much, and then when JPO and Darius were off the field, we got 11 players on defense that will be back. Now, we have to develop them, and they have to continue to improve, but you have 11 players that were out on that football field for a lot of really good snaps of defense coming back. And everything we do starts up front. We want to be able to develop our front four and our defensive line for obvious reasons, for stopping the run and putting pressure on the quarterback. But also we got to have a good secondary. If you can play well up front and you got a good secondary, you have a chance to have good defense. And the fact that we have potentially 4 players coming back that are going to be able to play for a few more years together, the future is pretty promising. And we're recruiting a lot of defensive backs right now to come in to help create depth and also to create competition, because competition makes them all better. But really excited about those guys coming back together in the secondary. The 3 linebackers all coming back are going to have several years to play together. So the back 7, if we can develop and continue to get them bigger and stronger and mentally develop with the scheme, I really am excited about what we could have here relatively soon. Yep, thank you guys.